And then she proceeded to say, well, what do you mean? I think that's a very ignorant way to go about living your life, not trusting the media. She said that, dude. I think it's an ignorant way to live your life to not trust the media. And the winner for the most contradictory sentence in the world is... All right. Welcome back to another episode of The Pupil's Life. This week, I'm going to be speaking like this. No, welcome everyone to another episode of The Pupil's Life. It is the new year. It's past the new year. We're over that, right? It's 2021. When is 2022 going to be here? When is it going to be over? When can I just get it over with? If you're new to The Pupil's Life, this is a podcast about a white Mexican living in Austin and about trauma, about childhood, about family, about relationships, about love, and about failure, about success and about rejection. This is a podcast about everything. That's what they say you shouldn't do, Nick. Great idea. Find your niche and then ignore it. I am recording this on a Saturday night, and welcome back. This is the show. If you're here so far, then something's keeping you here. I'm not a good salesman, in case you don't already know that. I am just an individual human being, and I don't know what it is about selling myself that is not doesn't come naturally. You know, I don't know, man. Do I want to talk about that? Is that how I'm going to start the podcast? I'm going to try not to curse again today. I had fun doing that the first time, and I almost succeeded. My memory is so bad that I don't remember if I've cursed already, and it's only been 2.5 minutes. Welcome. That's the show. That is what you're in for today. A lot of people have told me that I sound very different on the podcast than I do in real life. And I would like to say that it is just a different context. You know, if you're talking to yourself for a goddamn hour, well, then of course you're going to sound different. And if you're talking to yourself for a yeah, man, I guess this isn't the no cursing episode. No, let's start over. This is exactly the same thing that happened last time. It's exactly the same thing. So, yeah, let's start over, man. It's 3 minutes, and I haven't said goddamn. And we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. And this is going to be another almost no cursing episode. So, yeah, people have told me that I sound unlike myself on the podcast. And my response to that is, Well, listen, it's hard when you talk to yourself for an hour to talk the way, myself. I think the reason people say that is because myself, when I'm with other people, is generally getting them to try to talk, and generally me trying to learn about others. When, however, it is up to me to fill an hour, well, then, of course it's going to be different. Of course it's going to be different. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Some people have said that to me recently, and I don't want to. I don't want it to seem like I'm not being myself, because I'm trying as much as I can to be myself. And I can't figure out, am I being more of myself on the podcast, or am I being more of myself in real life? Again, I will say it's contextual, because I'm not trying to get to know a camera. I'm trying to let you get to know me. Um, Now, yeah, of course, if I was on a date, I probably wouldn't do what I just did. So again, it's contextual. Uh, I sincerely doubt I'm going to be able to not curse for the rest of this episode, but I'm going to try it. And it's just a mood thing. It's just a mood thing. I'm going to try it, but yeah. So January 20. Oh, it's on a stopwatch. I can't see what date it is. I think it's the 21st. And what has been my life, man? I started a vlog. This week, last week, if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out. And I don't know. I don't know why I started a vlog. I was bored. I wanted to learn how to edit video, and maybe I needed a distraction from something. I don't know what it could have been, but I started a vlog and it was fun, and I don't know how I'm going to keep up with it, because as I have come to learn, I'm great at piling more stuff on my to-do list and adding projects when I already feel like I don't have enough time to finish the ones that I'm working on. There's probably some psychological reason for that, right? And it's not like procrastination, because I get the things done, but maybe it's got something to do with like a fear of doing less things, but doing them better, because then I would be successful. And maybe I'm afraid of success. I've thought about that a lot. I've thought about how I am unconsciously preventing myself from becoming more successful, because I'm afraid of having to step into that role and fill those shoes. But then again, I am aware of it. So there's that, right? Awareness is the first step. What has been my life? I started the vlog and I'm still unemployed. And I feel like I haven't talked enough about that. Not about like the workforce and unemployment, not in reference to the workforce, but in reference to, just what it's like, and how I know a lot of people who could not be doing what I'm doing right now, which is be unemployed and not run out of money. Obviously, if I did it for long enough, I would run out of money. But I know a lot of people who could not even do it for a month, probably not even a half a month. So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and just there's things that I do that I think are like common everyday knowledge things that everyone can do, that everyone does. And then I realize when I'm talking to a friend and they'll say something along the lines of, I don't have money to pay rent until I get my next check. And it's at that moment that I realize, oh, no wonder your anxiety levels are tenfold my anxiety levels. And like, I don't know, I could not live like that. You know what I mean? If I was waiting for my next paycheck in order to just cover this month's or this next coming up month's living expenses, I would have a hard time going to bed. I would be doing all of the drugs. I would be getting fucking piss drunk. Oh, there it is. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the first curse word of the Almost Another Note episode, cursing, whatever it's called. No longer going to be that, clearly, because I can't not curse. Yay for you, Nicholas. Nobody cares. Yeah, so I would be fucking destroy. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going with it because I'm not going to fucking stop cursing now that I've fucking cursed. Fucking fuck. And so, yeah, anyway, I want to talk about sort of living within your means because I don't spend very much money on things I don't need. And so I don't know, maybe it's boring. Should I even talk about that? I basically just look at it as like, I don't even think that my way of managing money is smarter. I wouldn't even call it smart. But I think compared to like the standard way food service industry people handle their money, I'm like fucking like might as well be, you know, I don't know, Bill Gates. Because the way that I look at it, now all of a sudden I'm getting self-conscious about explaining this stuff. The way I look at it is if I'm profiting at the end of the month, if I have a job, right, and I'm getting paid, you know, bi-weekly, so I get 2 checks a month, and then I have to pay my rent, I have to pay groceries, I have to pay the utilities or whatever the hell I'm paying, right? I pay all those bills. I still go out with my friends. I'll go on a couple dates. I will maybe have a membership to some kind of gym or something. You cover all your expenses. You get paid. You cover all your expenses, like all of them. If at the end of those 2 things, you earned money that month, then you're good. You know, you're good. You know, if let's say you're making $2,000 a month, let's say you're making $2,000 a month and your rent is like $700 or $800 a month, and then you pay another 5 or 4, let's say 4 in groceries, so that let's say $1,000 is your, no, $1,100 is your monthly rent and food expenses. And then you say another 500 for social life for a month, plus some memberships, like give or take another 100, 200, 700. That's 1,100 plus 700. That's $1,800 that you're spending that month, which is a lot. It's a lot of money to spend $1,800 a month when you're just like a civilian like me. But if you're making $2,000 a month, then that means every month you're going to add $200 to just like your money and your fucking, you know, your call it savings if you'd like. And so I guess that's how I started when I moved to Austin, was just that mentality of, all right, I just need to be making more money than I'm losing. Let's just start with the basics. I just need to be making more money than I'm spending. Because, you know, there's simple math, right? If I'm making less money than I'm spending, then that's not sustainable. And that's when you start getting a credit card and ruin your life, right? So let's not do that. Let's start with just spend less than you earn, and try not to spend on stuff that you don't need, that's a more complicated part. And I don't even know if I can explain to you how I do that. because I don't know, maybe it's something to do with my childhood and just the fact that I had everything when I was a kid and I was unhappy. And so I realized, okay, I don't need any of this. And even if I have it, none of it's going to make me happy. In fact, it's only going to make it harder for me to be happy if I have all of these things that I'm constantly consuming. The way that I would simplify that into one sentence is, rather than purchasing and consuming, learn to consume yourself. Learn to spend time with yourself instead of with other things or with other media or whatever. And so yeah, that's first thing is earn more than you spend in a month, and then you'll slowly be earning your way to being able to quit your job for a month and figure shit out, which then alleviates the pressure of being in a shitty job because you know, okay, well, I can not be here and figure things out within a month. I will trust myself that within a month I can figure it out. Second one, learn how to enjoy being with yourself so that you don't have to be purchasing distractions or stimulants or mind-altering substances. And yes, coffee is a stimulant, ladies. And from there, I guess the next big thing that I did, those two things are like the main, those are like the core, the foundation of living within your means is those two things. And from there, one that I took way too long to do is get a credit card. Get a fucking credit card. If you're like me, when I got one, they're only going to give you like $1,000, $1,500 as like your limit, right? And so just get a credit card. Doesn't matter what the limit is, and stop using your debit card. Use your credit card for everything, except where it makes sense to use like your account or your debit card. You know, like if you can't pay your rent with a credit card because they'll charge you like $10 in fees, and it doesn't make sense to do that. But for most everything, use your credit card. Your debit card is just basically there as like a placeholder, and start using your credit card. That will then, having the limit. Like my credit card started at $1,000. It's gone up to $2,000. They extended my limit now. I've never hit my limit. Even when I was at 1,000, I never hit my limit. I've gone over 1,000 now, sure, at times, but having that limit is just a good place to know, okay, the most money I can spend this month is $2,000. That is the most money I can spend because that's all that my credit card can do. And if you start with 5,000, or if you start with 500 or 1,000, then, maybe that's not going to be enough to get you through the full month. So, use your fucking common sense. If you need to use your credit card because your credit card, if you need to use your debit card because your credit card's maxed out, then you fucking use your debit card. But I guess my biggest fear with getting a credit card was that I would have $2,000 to spend and that I would just spend it like a dumbass. But you quickly realize, maybe you actually don't have as good impulse control in this realm as I did, but you quickly realize that's not true, because if you spend more than you have, then you're going to have to pay it, right? Unless you're just like very uneducated or very ignorant, then maybe you might think like, oh, this is just fake money. It's not. So get a credit card, and then that extends your lifeline. So what I mean by that is I have a $2,000 credit line right now every month, right? So we will start February soon, and say that I've got, let's just give a basic example. Say I have $2,000 in the bank, right? If you're a young little kid, if you're 21 years old and you just got your first food service industry job and you've got $2,000 in the bank and you got your $2,000 credit card, that now means you have 2 months worth of like a lifeline. You know, if you wanted to quit your job and figure things out, if you needed to take a break or an emergency, you can now quit your job at the start of February, use your credit card for the whole month of February, and then March comes along, you pay off your credit card with the $2,000 you had, and then you use your credit card again for March. Ideally, you're doing this if you already have a job, right? You figure this shit out in February and then you keep going. But yeah, so the credit card extends your life and it's earning money. And these are all basic concepts. You know, I'm talking to the person who doesn't have a credit card right now. I'm not talking to the person that has 3. I'm talking to me a couple years ago. So like this month I earned, I don't know, like $40 just for using my credit card. And in the past, I was just not earning that money because I was using a debit card. So small victories here and there where you can get them. And it starts to add up, especially if you start to get bigger credit cards, which I will potentially in the next year or two be getting. That's where the real rewards start to pay off, right? You get like a full ride to go to Africa or something. So live within your means is get a credit card is the third step. Learn to spend time with yourself is the second step. I don't know why I do this thing sometimes where I cough and immediately after I hiccup. People always laugh at me when it happens, so I assume it's not a common thing. But I don't know. It hurts. It hurts. So those 3 things, I think: spend less than you earn, learn to spend time with yourself instead of with purchases and things you get at the fucking Walmart and Target. Oh, the new fucking video game. And then get a credit card. You do those 3 things for a full year, you're going to be fucking, you know, you're not even going to recognize the person you were a year ago. And what else, man? One thing that I'm not like the best at, but my brother is really good at, and I've learned from him some, is to sell stuff. You know, you might not think that you have anything that can be sold. Let me tell you, you're wrong. You do. You're wrong. You do. And you know, I'll even say sometimes it's a sacrifice, right? Sometimes we make impulse purchases and we buy $250 jackets that we never wear. And I'm speaking about this guy right here. But 2 years down the line, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, that's just $250 hanging from my closet. I could just continue to feel bad about it, or I could sell it, you know, and I'm not going to get $250 for it, but I might get $150 or $200 or whatever. And so it's a good way to start practicing like getting rid of stuff and having the mindset of like, okay, I'm trying to get rid of stuff, not acquire more things. I think there's something there, right, with like building the muscle of selling and feeling like, oh, it feels good to get rid of stuff, that it then makes it a little bit harder when you go make a purchase to be like, all right, do I really need this loofah? You know, do I really need this? Do I really need this extra set of towels? And so that's another one. I would say selling things. I've sold two jackets. I sold like a pair of boxing gloves and some shin guards. I probably made like $400 or $500 selling things, which isn't a lot, right? But it's $400 or $500 that I would have just had sitting in my bedroom. And now I have more space, which then gives me more headspace to think with, because it's not a clutterfuck in my bedroom. So sell stuff. That's the fourth one. And what else, man? Um, I think those are like the four. I think the three are the three foundational ones, and the fourth one is like, that's where you start to get into more of advanced territory, right? Beginner stages is the three foundationals, three building blocks, and then selling stuff is like advanced, and then the expert level is like start meal prepping and start just cooking at home, right? I know a lot of people that eat out regularly. I would love to do that, and for a while I did. Thai food truck Didi in Austin, favorite food of all time. If I could eat there once a week or more, I would, and at a time I did. Guess what? I've spent over $4,000 there in 3, 4, 5 years. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to have spent on Thai food. And so if you like tonight, I went to the grocery store. I bought spinach, chicken, some veggies, and turmeric powder. With that, I will cook a chicken dish that will last me a full week, and that was $25. Now, every time I go eat Thai food, it's 30. So, stuff like that adds up. And then you can also start to see eating out as like a reward. Every time I go to Didi, I feel like I'm falling in love with Austin again. Not that I'm falling out of love with it, but just like, the flavors of Austin to me. Didi is one of the flavors of Austin to me. Which, by the way, shameless plug here. If you live in Austin and if you've never been to Thai food truck Didi, they are the best food. And that's the end of that sentence. They are the best food. Just the best food. So that's where I'm going to leave that. That's how I live within my means. Is I just don't need very much. And I would even say that I spend, 15% more money than I need to on a monthly basis. And also I want to say, like, it's not about, like judging yourself or shaming yourself for spending money. It's about just starting to care for yourself more and realizing, I don't need to spend all of my money, because by doing that, I start to feel more anxious, and money is actually a good thing. And if I use it wisely and I treat it like the valuable thing that it is, then my life can be better in some ways. It's not going to fix my emotional issues, but it can fix some money problems, which can create some emotional issues or heighten them, I should say. So that is a very boring thing that I just told you about, but I think it might be, I don't think it's as common knowledge as I think it is. And then as far as being unemployed, man, I don't know. It's been a ride, and every time it's the same. When I left my restaurant job back in June of 2020, I was like, all right, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's coming my way, but something is. And then I got another food truck job, but there's something about taking those months off or the weeks off or however long it is, where you just kind of reset a little bit, focus on some other stuff, and then go back with a new perspective and a fresh outlook on life, and just let go of some of that daily feeling of being jaded, because when you work at a food service industry, it's easy to get jaded and to just become disgruntled. But But yeah, so I've talked about this already, but I applied to 2 different jobs that weren't in the food service industry, and I made much more progress in them than I have before. Still didn't get them, but I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. And this week I'm interviewing for a gelato food truck by an Italian man. And it pays well, and people seem like nice people. It looks like a good place for some level of growth, you know? And and so that's another thing is like, I guess this is the lessons learned episode. But one of my favorite lessons of all time of life is no job is beneath you, you know, and it's easy to forget that when you've been at these jobs for a while, and then you can start to get, again, that jaded feeling, and you can start to be just like, man, I wish I didn't have to work this place, and this is shit, and I get treated like shit, and blah blah. And it's easy to just sort of make a slight shift to that and start to feel like it's the jobs that, like, I deserve better or blah blah. I just said blah blah twice in 5 seconds. But yeah, I don't know, for a couple of weeks there, I started to feel almost ashamed of, man, am I really going to have to get another food service industry job? I was so close. What are people going to think? And it's like, dude, who cares what other people think? You know, if you need to provide for yourself, if you need to survive, there is no job that is beneath you, because having a job is a respectable thing, and doing a service to your community. And yes, I think that having a job is doing a service, even if you're getting paid for it. I think that is doing a service to your community. And I think that's a very respectable thing to do. It doesn't matter if you're bagging groceries at a grocery store, or if you're the vice president of a startup company, you know? Like, you're both just trying to provide for yourself. And so it was a good thing for me to relearn and to remember, all right, man, you're only 25, and you're doing enough. You're good enough. You're worthy of where you are, and there's no shame in where you are. And remember, this is what I had to remind myself. When I signed up for Austin, it was a long-term contract. You know, I didn't sign up for Austin for a 2-year lease, right? I signed up for Austin for long-term. And so those are goals that I have that are like in the back burner, and I'm working toward those slowly. But I don't need to be focusing on those. They don't need to be at the forefront of my mind. You know, they're things that I trust, and I believe that they're going to work out. If I keep doing the things that I'm doing, they're going to work out. And I think having that faith in yourself is a very powerful thing, especially when you're unhappy at a job and you want to leave. It's like, dude, I know that you think the benefits are worth staying. I know that you think, well, but I like the people that I work with. I know that you think the commute is short and that it's easy. And I know that you think it's easy because you know how to do it already. But trust me, things are going to be okay. But right now, you're not okay because you're unhappy there, right? And so what's this about? Generally about fear. But yeah, just trust in yourself. I don't know, man. This is so... I wonder how many people have like fucking said, oh, this is boring, man. This is boring. And I'm also really good at self-rejection. So maybe that's the case. Maybe I have a case of self-rejection right now. But another thing I wanted to talk about is rejection, because I didn't get the YouTuber job either, which was the one I was holding out hope for. I made it to the final 6 out of 450 people. I made it to the final 6. And then it's like I made it to the final table, you know? I made it to the final table of the World Series of Poker. And I was the bubble boy. Which in poker terms just means I wasn't actually, but in poker terms, it means the last guy that doesn't get a prize. So if, say, 1,000 people sign up for a tournament and 100 of them get a cash payment because, or if there 100 people there's 100 prizes, God damn it. Then the 101st person is the bubble boy because he broke the bubble where now everybody's got some amount of earnings, right? And I fucking made it this close, man. Made it this close. And that's just going to have to keep waiting, I guess. But I just, yeah, with the 2 jobs that I didn't get, I felt very dejected, man. I just felt like, what did I do wrong? And why is it that this didn't work out? Why am I not ready yet? Or why? I just started looking for an answer instead of feeling what it was that I was feeling. Man, I'm so fucking tired, dude. But I started to feel like maybe I wasn't good enough for the jobs. You know, even though I made it to the top 6 out of 450, I started to feel like, man, I knew it. I wasn't good enough for this from the get. And a friend of mine texted me. He said, "Hey, man, it doesn't matter if you get a job or not. Like, that does not determine whether you're a worthwhile person." And as soon as he fucking texted me that, man, I just started crying. And he just like pressed the right button, you know? And so I guess the thing that I am trying to say is that if you try something, and I don't like that this is going to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but I think that it's important because a lot of people stop themselves from even trying because they're afraid of where they'll be if they don't succeed, right? And I use the word succeed lightly because I think trying is succeeding. But if, like, I'll just keep using my example. So during Christmas dinner, I went to my brother's girlfriend's house and it was me, her, and her mom and my brother. And we were talking about my jobs and what I was applying to. And there was one company that I dream about working for. And they said, "Why don't you apply there?" And I said, "Oh, because they're not ever going to even consider me." Right? I rejected myself for them. And I didn't even apply. I was just like, nah, they're too good for me, is what I said. And everyone at that dinner was like, I don't know about that. It sounds like sounds like you're selling yourself short. And so I took what they said and I said, all right, maybe they're right. I applied and I made it past the first round. And then I was told I wasn't going to make it to the third round. But I had never made it past the first round. And the lesson there, the point I'm trying to make is that I was afraid of them rejecting me because I thought, well, if they reject me, then what does that mean? I didn't really have an answer for that. I was just operating on what if they reject me, right? Then what? Where am I going to be if they reject me? And what I realized was I'm going to be exactly where I am right now before they rejected me. So it's really a win-win situation. It's like, oh, hey, I'm right now, this moment, doing this podcast. This is just my life, right? And then let's say an opportunity comes by and it's like, oh, I really want to do that, but I'm afraid I'll fail. So if you fail, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm going to be right here again. Is that such a scary thing? Is that such a scary place to be? And the answer is generally no. The answer is generally nope. You're just afraid of being rejected, which was the case for me. And I think I may have talked about this already, but one of the biggest things for me with not getting the jobs was, okay, I feel very down on myself, right? And I feel like I'm getting too caught up in like, what could I have done differently? What ifs? And all I needed to do was, all I ended up doing was just I felt like a tightness in my chest. I felt just like dude, this sucks. Like this hurts. And I just started to, my body felt tight because I was just clamping on to this idea that I had failed. And I sat with it for an hour in my morning meditation. And then I thought, now what? Okay, yes, this is a tough pill to swallow. But now what? And I think that you need to feel whatever it is that you feel when the rejection comes or the success or whatever it is. Whenever the feeling comes, just if you feel it and you sit with it and you don't try to change it, then the next step is to say, okay, so now what do I do? Right? And as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, I'm okay. Like I just needed to feel that discomfort for a little while, and then the discomfort went away. And it sounds like fucking magic, and it's because it is, and it's because it works. In the words of my only ever stalker, you know why they say that meth is good for you? Because it actually works. Yeah, true story right there. That was pre-podcast, but I did once have a stalker, and I don't know if I've told this story before, but I guess I can tell it again. Do I want to tell it, man? Do I fucking want to be doing this right now? Right? What do I do? I just want to be stretched to death. That's how I want to die. Is I want to be stretched to death. Because it would feel so good for like, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I start to like my arms start to be ripped off. But like for 5 seconds, I would just feel that stretch feeling. That everything is good. When you stretch, you just feel like everything is okay. So there's that, right? The being afraid of rejection, very common thing to feel. But the way I've gone through that, because I don't give myself enough credit for this, but I start things like a motherfucker, and I don't really put that much thought into when I start it. It's just like, I just want to do this. I'm going to do it, and then I see what happens. I can always stop, right? And I think what's helped me with that is actually sitting with feelings, because then the fear goes away. And reframing it, like I said earlier, like, okay, so I want to do this thing, right? Let's say you want to start let's say you want to start a YouTube channel, but you're afraid of what other people are going to think. You're afraid that they're going to reject you, that nobody's going to watch it. And before you started, let's just say that you're working for a startup company and you're making 70 grand a year, and you go out every weekend to happy hours with your friends, and you got a dog, and right, you just have a basic fucking setup, let's say. Now you start your YouTube channel, and 3 months later, after 15 videos, nobody's watching, right? Maybe a couple of views, and you give up. And then what? Are your friends not going to be your friends anymore? Is your dog going to run away from your house? Is your job going to fire you because, hey, you tried something, we don't like that? No. The answer is always no. The answer to your fear of what's going to happen if I try is always just no. But people are no. But what? No. But it's going to be no. No, just do it. Just do it. And you're going to be exactly where you are right now if it doesn't work out. Maybe that's the thing that's scary for people, is like, well, if I try this thing that I really want to do, if I try my lifelong dream and then I don't do it, then where I'm going to be is where I was before. But now I'm going to know that I failed at my lifelong dream. That's a good one. It's a good counter argument, Nick. That's a good, little devil's advocate, right? But I will say again, would you rather know or would you rather not know? I guess that's the choice you have to make is, would you rather know the truth or would you rather live in the what if land that some people really like to live in, And, I wasn't even going to get into it, but fuck it. I will. I went on a date, in the last month. And I went on a date in the last month or so. And boy, man, I don't even want to criticize the person, right? But it pertains to the wanting to know or not know. Date was going well. Date was going fine. It was a standard old date. And then the political thing came up, right? And this woman was very passionate about her stance on the political thing. And she inquired as to my stance on the political thing. And then I said, well, my stance is that unless I was there at the political thing, I don't really know what happened. And then she proceeded to say, well, what do you mean? I think that's a very ignorant way to go about living your life, not trusting the media. She said that, dude. I think it's an ignorant way to live your life to not trust the media. And the winner for the most contradictory sentence in the world is her. And then I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, I listen to NPR, so I know what happened there. I know what happened at this political thing. And I said, oh, tell me more. And then, 15, 20 minutes later, I got the fuck out of there, is what I did. But yeah, man. So some people do would rather just not know the truth. And the truth in this case being that you don't know what the fuck you don't know. Unless you were there, you don't know. Right? But I get it. I've been that person before. So I'm not talking smack about this woman. I'm just saying, if you listen to NPR, that doesn't mean that you know. it means you know what they know and what they think and what they absorbed, unless they were there. And even if so, if 10 people go to the same event, not all 10 people are going to talk about the event the same way, right? Somebody might have been fucking, abused as a child. And so when they arrived, they felt super insecure and they thought everybody was being a little bit too aggressive. But then there's the social savant who showed up and he was being the one that was doing all the talking. And he thought, hey, everybody was super friendly at this event. Right. And so then if you listen to the fucking person who was abused on NPR say everybody was really aggressive at that event, and then you're like, oh, so everybody was super aggressive at this thing? And then you listen to the other guy be like, actually, everybody was super inspirational and everybody was super nice and respectful, and boundaries were enforced and respected, and it was a blasty blast. Then you might be like, then you might just take their experience, or you might reject it if you've already listened to the NPR person. But yeah, like the example that I gave her, and the example that I don't know if it's a great example, but it was what came to mind in the moment, was assuming that you know what happened at an event you weren't at because of a headline you read or a news article you read or a video you watched is like if your best friend came to you and said, hey, my boyfriend was being abusive and I don't know what to do. And then you turned around and said, he wasn't being abusive. This is what actually happened because I was 60 feet away from you at that party and I saw your body. I saw your body language. Okay. So I know that, it's just like, dude, why? Just fucking, just understand that you don't know what happened. And that's that, man. Like, that's that. It's like right now, I'm sure some of you are listening and you're thinking, well, Nick, I'm sure that you did something to upset this girl. And I don't, the truth of the matter is that I was trying not to talk about that. And I was just trying to have a nice night and have some fun and just talk about our lives. Because at the end of the day, that's all that we really know about. But yeah, so make your choice, right? Do you want to listen to NPR your whole life and believe that the world is a certain way? Or do you want to go out there and learn for yourself what the world is actually like? Both are understandable, right? Both are perfectly fine choices. But they also both come with their own set of consequences. And one comes with a little bit more risk, perhaps, and one comes with a little bit more regret. So, choose your palate, choose your plate, choose your buffet. There's a buffet. The world is a buffet full of regret and risk, and you get to choose how much of each you want to serve onto your plate. And when you're at the buffet, there might be some people looking at you saying, hey, he's taking on a lot of risk, and that's okay. And that's okay. Because they're going to take on all of your regret. They're going to take all of that regret and put it on their plate so that you don't have to have it. Because, somebody's got to carry the burden of regret, right? Regret's not just going to sit there by herself and watch everyone else have a dandy time. She wants to drain somebody. But it's a choice at the end of the day. I think it's a choice. So I've been enjoying just kind of ending these before the hour mark. And yeah, I don't know, man. This seems like a weird episode, but at this point, aren't all these episodes weird? Thank you guys. That's going to be the podcast. That's my segue. That's the end of the podcast. It is getting late and I am hungry and I am tired and I still haven't even done my meditation. I have to do it now. Have to is not the right word. I can do it and I choose to do it because I want to, right? Isn't that what the new age people that you like to disbelieve in say? That is the pupil's life. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider subscribing, leaving a like or a 5-star rating on iTunes, following on Spotify, whatever you are listening on. Interact with the thing that you're supposed to interact with. And if you, here it comes. No, it didn't. If you, here it comes. No, it didn't. No, it's not coming. Oh, it turned into a yawn. If you're a writer or if you're trying to heal yourself from any kind of trauma, I send out a weekly newsletter with tools for healing and tools for writing and a writing prompt. So that you can find at sendfox.com/NIKOAGF. That is sendfox.com/NIKOAGF. And this is A Pupil's Life. That's the episode. I will see you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I love you guys, and I wish you the best end of January. Bye-bye.